Okay, so I decided to make a video on what it would look like to play using something like FaceTime or Skype on an iPad, and just a little solitaire run through as well. I've chosen the first battle from the Falklands War, which is the Argentinian Mirage 3EA against the British Sea Harrier FR 5.1. I have not decided which one to play. I thought I would roll a die. On odds, I would play the Argentinians, and on even, I would play the Harrier. And it is even, so I will play the Harrier. Now, they both have skills, and there were two choices of skills for each, and rather than randomize, I picked the ones that would be easiest for the AI to use. The Argentinian has the Guided Intercept 3, which means they are going to draw 3 additional cards at the beginning of the game, which I'll do now. Both game planes have a starting hand of 6. The skill for the Sea Harrier is Diligent, which means that every time I play a vertical roll, I'm going to draw a card. I like this skill. And it would work just as well to replenish the hand of the AI if they generated a vertical roll. Something I didn't realize when I was setting it up is the Harrier has no afterburners. So this will be interesting. He is stuck with his performance rating of 2, whereas the Argentinian can kick it in there at the end. In this instance, the Harrier is going to go first because it has an electronics warfare rating of 1 to the Mirage's 0. So let me look at the hand that I dealt for the Harrier. That is not a bad starting hand, but it has no tone cards. All right, so one of the first things I want to do is determine the altitude. The starting altitude of the AI is done by a die roll. So I roll a d10. I'm going to add 2 per point of EW that is higher than me, which is none, and minus 2 per point of EW that it is lower than me, and it's lower than 1, so that's going to be a 7, which means it's going to start at medium altitude, which I already have it set at, and I decided to start at medium altitude, and we're starting at active homing range as per the rules. So the first thing that I want to do is get into heat-seeking range. And to do so, I am going to play a break card to increase my range by 1 and his range by 1. When I do, I'm going to roll to see if he reacts. I'm going to roll a die plus the number of cards he has in his hand, which in this case is 9. So I'm going to roll that die, which is a 5, plus 9 is 14, so he will react. Now, I played a maneuver card, which means we're going to roll on that table to see if he can react. He wants to. He may not have a card in his hand that will let him. That roll is a 2, which on the maneuvering table is nothing. So even though he wanted to react, it turns out he couldn't. So I'm going to change our range. Sorry, that's altitude. From active homing to radar homing. And since he couldn't play a card, I'm not going to discard a card for him. I want to get a little closer, so I'm going to play another range adjustment. I'm going to play another break, and I'm going to roll again, plus 9 for his hand size to see if he reacts. On a 19, he certainly reacts to a maneuvering card. With a 10, he reacts with an ace pilot. So I'm going to discard a card for him. Now that says vertical roll, but because it's for the AI, it isn't actually an ace pilot. I do not have an ace pilot, so I cannot react, so I do not adjust our ranges. Now at this point, my weapons are heat-seeking and gun range weapons, so the only thing I can do is close the range because I can't hold position on him because I can't get in weapons envelope with him. However, I really don't like my performance, my thrust, and don't want to go into his first card with his first turn with 9 cards, holding only 3. So at this point, I'm going to end my turn and draw 2 cards, a barrel roll, and a yo-yo. I'll take both of those. And it is now the AI's turn. Now, at the beginning of his turn, he doesn't discard and draw. He just draws. But he's got a full hand size and then some. So he won't draw any cards. And then we check to see if he turns on his afterburners. So I'm going to roll the die. That's a 5. I'm going to consult the chart. He turns them on a 7+, but he's -4 if I have heat-seeking missiles. The bonuses do not affect him. So he is not going to turn on his afterburners. He's going to be smart about it. And then we're going to check to see if he's going to adjust his altitude. This die will be modified by +1 if I'm at a higher altitude and -1 if I'm at a lower altitude. On a roll of 2, which is weird looking at this. It says on a 3 or better, he will dive. There is no result for a 2, so I'm going to re-roll that. That's just confusing. We're at the same altitude. So there we go. That's a 3. It says he will dive, which means he gets to draw 1 card. So he's going to go to low altitude. He's going to add another card to his hand. And so at this point, he's going to try to increase his range on me by playing cards to do so. Again, it's a chart that you roll on. On a 7 or less, he doesn't do anything, but he's +1 per card, so there's no way he doesn't. The question is, what does he do? So that's +10 to that 2 is a 12. He's going to adjust range or position by 2. And since he can't get position, he's going to adjust range by 2. So he plays a maneuvering card. I don't know why that card is in there. He's carrying 2 missiles. He's going to play a maneuvering card to adjust range, which is what I wanted him to do, what I was trying to do to begin with. So I'm going to let him. He's going to adjust his range to heat-seeking, because that gets him in the closest weapon envelope. First his range, and then mine. All right, so that's his 1 played card. And now we're going to see if he's going to adjust position. He's actually going to have to change range because he's at a higher altitude than I am, or lower altitude. While we're both at heat-seeking, it's +1 because there's an altitude difference of 1. In that case, that means we're actually, technically, at radar homing range. So I roll the die, add 9 to that, so that's 18, which means he will adjust range or position by 3. He only needs to adjust range by 1 to get into heat-seeking range. And again, I'm going to let him do that at the expense of a card that actually puts us at gun range, but remember, because of the differing altitudes, we're at heat-seeking range. So now that he has me in a weapons envelope, that's going to be a separate roll. I'm going to roll a die, the same die, and it's going to be +1 for each card in hand, which is 8 because he's played 2 of his incredible 10 to determine what he does. On a 7 or less, he would end his play card step. That won't happen. That was a 4. +8 is 12. So he plays a tone card, a straight tone card, which is +0. Oh, he does not play a tone card. Let's back that up. He's not in weapons envelope yet. Now he has to change position, or attempt to, because his heat-seeking missiles can only fire if he's advantaged or tailing. So let's go back to that first table. Roll a 1 plus 8 is 9, which means he will adjust position by 1. Now he plays that card to try to get me at a disadvantaged position. And at this point, I will react with a barrel roll. And so we're going to roll to see if he reacts. He's down to 7 cards in hand. I roll the die and add 7. I get an 11, so he will react. He reacts on a 9 plus. I played a barrel roll, so I consult that table, roll the d10. He responds to my barrel roll with a yo-yo. So I'm going to take his card to represent the yo-yo, and now I have to respond to his yo-yo. And I am going to respond with a yo-yo. So now he is down to 6 cards. I'll roll the d10 plus 6 to determine what he does. I rolled a 2, plus 6 is 8. He doesn't play any more cards. He doesn't have anything that will counteract my yo-yo. So he's going to end his turn on that die roll. Wait, no, he's not. He's not going to end his turn. He's going to go back to the adjust ranger position. The card he used for maneuvering was canceled by mine. So now we're going to roll the die again. We're going to add the number of cards in hand. That's 10 cards. Or, I'm sorry, that's 6 cards plus the 3 is 9. So again, he's going to try to adjust ranger position by 1 by playing a maneuvering card to which I'll have to react. I can only react to 1 more maneuvering card. I'm not in the best situation. So, I'm going to let him have that and hope that he doesn't have a tone. So, the Harrier is now disadvantaged to the Mirage. And the Mirage is going to roll to see if he has a tone card. He's down to 5 cards in hand. I roll the d10 and add that to it. The roll is an 8, and that's a 13, which means he definitely has a tone card. Plus 1 missile card. So if I let this tone go, which I have no choice but to do, he's going to launch a missile, or he's going to potentially launch a missile, because there's an additional check for him to make. He plays his tone card. There it is. Now he's down to 4 cards in hand. I'm going to make a die roll. On a 5 plus, he's going to launch his missile. He's plus 1 for each missile of that type. Plus 3 if I had my afterburners on. He's minus 5 if I have 4 or 5 action cards, which I do. I'm sorry, he's minus 1. So I'm going to roll the die. It's going to be plus 2 for him, minus 1 for me. So on a 5 plus, he launches a missile. He does launch a missile, which means he's going to launch 1 missile. He would launch 2 missiles if he had 3 or more of the same type, but he only has 2 of those. He's going to launch that missile. We're at differing altitudes, which is okay. I have a higher EW rating than him. So he gets 1 card. He would draw 1 card for the missile hand for the card that he played as tone plus 1 card. He gets 1 card for the missile itself, minus 1 for my EW, so he would have 1 card in his missile hand. Here's the problem. He's launched a missile at me, and I don't have any cards that will respond to that missile. Barrel roll does not respond to a missile. Guns, only 1 guns card does, and I don't have it. And the split dust doesn't let me do that. However, I have a countermeasures. So at this point, I'm going to play my countermeasures. And he's only got a couple of chances to react to my countermeasures. Let's see if he reacts by rolling the die, which was a 2, adding 4, making a 6. He doesn't react. His missile is lost. Actually, it would have been just plus 1, I believe, for the missile hand. Either way, that's not going to do it. His missile's lost. I'm out of countermeasures. I got lucky. Let's see what he does now. He has 4 cards in hand. I'm going to roll the die, add the number of cards. It's 6. He doesn't do anything. He's going to end his turn. When he ends his turn, he's going to draw cards equal to his thrust rating, which is going to be +1 for where he's at. So he's actually going to draw 3 cards. We're up to 3 cards. You know what? I did that wrong with his EW was also +1 because of the range. He is not at a penalty to his performance. So he's going to draw all 3 cards. He was down to 4. That puts him at 7 cards. But he can only have 6. That does not give him an increase to his performance. So that's the end of his turn, and I'm going to luckily get a second turn. Now, my thrust is 2, so I will draw 2. I get a break, and I get a tone strong, so I think I'm going to have to make a run for him this time. I am not going to turn on my afterburners. I'm going to go at him nice and quick, I think. I am going to roll to adjust position. Actually, I'm going to play a barrel roll. No. I'm going to play that guns card to adjust my positioning by 1. I'm going to see if he reacts by rolling the die and adding 6. I roll a 7, so that's a 13. He will react to my maneuvering, or at least he wants to react to my maneuvering, and a 9 means that he cannot. So we are now at neutral position. At this point, I am going to play a tone strong. We're at heat-seeking range. This lets me launch 1 missile with +2 cards. Is he going to react to the tone? We roll a die. That's a 3. +6 is 9, so he will react to my tone card. Roll the die on the tone table. He reacts with a break. I'm going to react to his break with a barrel roll. Is he going to react to my barrel roll? A D10 +5. Yes, 15 means he'll react to my barrel roll with a barrel roll. And I cannot react to his barrel roll. So I do not have a tone, which makes me sad. At this point, I'm going to end my turn. I'm sitting with a break, a split S, and a gun's good angle. I'm neutral to him, and even though the tokens say we're at gun range, we're in fact at heat-seeking range because of our altitude difference. My turn will end. I'll draw 2 cards, giving me a hand size of 5. I get a break and a tone, so maybe I'll get a chance at him here in a second. At the beginning of his turn, 2, he has 5 cards. It's a performance rating of 2, but he's already got 5, and a thrust of 2. His performance rating is 6. Before we do that, we need to see if he turns on his afterburners. He is going to be -2 because my EW rating is higher than his. But right now, they're the same, so he's just going to be a straight die roll. A 9 indicates that, you know what, I was reading the modifiers for the altitude. For starting, there are no, for afterburners, he's going to be -4 because I have heat-seeking missiles. +1 because I'm at a higher altitude. That's a 5, so he's not going to turn on his afterburners, and he'll draw his 1 card. So now we go back to that next chart to see if he adjusts his altitude on the roll. He is not going to adjust his altitude with a 2. Now, the next chart is going to tell us what he's going to do to change positioning, because that's what he wants to change. He cannot fire his heat-seeking missiles at me, so I am not in a weapons envelope. He needs to be advantaged at the best on me, or at the least, to be able to attack. So I roll that d10, I get a 6, plus the number of cards in hand, which is 6, gives him a 12, so he will adjust range or position by 2. So he's going to try to tail me. So he's going to play a card for positioning of 2. Can I resolve? I can react to a maneuver card, so I'll react with a break, which reacts to maneuvering. I'm going to roll the die to see if he responds. With an 8, he does not respond. He's +5 for cards in hand. He needs a 9+ in order to respond. So he did not get that advantage. We're going to check again. A 5 + 5 is 10. He will attempt to adjust positioning by 1. And again, I can stop him from doing that. And I'm going to, because I don't want him to fire heat-seeking missiles at me. On a 9 + 4, he does respond this time to my break. I roll on the table, get a 6, consult the break column. On a 6, he plays a barrel roll. I cannot respond to his barrel roll. This does not look good. So we'll discard that card for his barrel roll. And now he has me in weapons envelope because I am disadvantaged once again. You know what, let me turn it this way so you can see its numbers. So now that he has me in weapons envelope, we're going to roll to see if he has a tone card on a 7+. He does. And it's +1 per card in hand. 4 + 3 is 7, and I read that wrong. It's a minus. He does not have a tone card. He ends his play card step with that result. He is going to draw cards. He's going to get to draw up to 4, or 3 rather, with his thrust of 2, and he's at low altitude. So now it is my turn 3, and at the beginning of my turn 3, I draw 2 cards. I get a red line, and I get a scissors. I won't be firing missiles this turn, but I do have a pretty good guns card, so I am going to make a run for him because he's coming at me hard. I can't have that. At the beginning of my turn, I'm going to decrease my altitude to low. So we're now at the same altitude. Now we are at guns range. I am going to adjust position. To adjust the position, I need to play a card with a positioning of, oh, I do have a tone card, but I'm going to play it for positioning. That's enough monkeying around with missiles. I'm going for him with my guns. So I play that for positioning. He is going to roll to react. He is at his full hand size of 6. So on a 3 + 6 is a 9+. He will react to a maneuvering, potentially. A 10 means that he reacts with an ace pilot. Again, this guy's pulled 2 ace pilots this game, and I can't counter it. I really want to shoot him. I'm going to play a scissors that has a positioning value of 1. Did I discard a card for his ace pilot? I did not. So now he's down to 5 cards. On a 5 + 5 is a 10. He'll react to maneuvering with a die roll of 5, which means he actually can't react. He only reacts on a 1 through 3, a 7 to 8, or a 10. So the spirit was willing, the body was weak. So we are now neutral. And in that neutral position, I'm going to play guns, good angle. So if neutral, I discard 2 cards. However, I have a gun rating on my aircraft of 1. So I only have to discard 1 card, which I'll do to play my guns. And now we see if he reacts to guns. Now, he has 5 cards. If he does not react to this, he would be destroyed. So he's +2 to his die roll. So +7 total. A 3, that's a 10. He will react to my guns. Let's consult the table. He will react with a 9, which is a red line. So he plays a red line. I really want him. I'm going for broke this time. The last card in my hand is a red line, which reacts to red line. So let's see if he reacts again. If he does not, he'd be destroyed. So he's +6. 15, he reacts to a red line. There's a chance he can't. On a die roll of 5, he reacts to a red line with a red line. All right, I think I may be done for here. I'm out of cards. He got lucky. I'm going to enter my draw card step, discard draw step. I'm going to draw 2 guns and barrel roll. Whatever he gets me into, I'm going to have a hard time getting out of. All right, so we're starting turn 3 of the AI player's turn. He has 3 cards. At the end of my turn, I drew 2 cards because that's my thrust value. I fail to take into account that I'm at low altitude, so I actually get to draw 1 more card. So I get a scissors card as well to go with that barrel roll to help me react. So at the beginning of his turn, with his thrust of 2 plus his low altitude, he's going to draw 3 cards. So again, he's sitting in a full hand of 6. This Mirage is a good plane. I would fly one. So we roll the die to see what he does. He does not have me in weapons envelope. He does actually have me in weapons envelope, neutral for guns. So let's consult the chart. You roll a die, of course, +1 per card in hand, +1 for his gun rating. His gun rating is 1. So it's this +7 to see if he changes position or to see if he fires his guns or ends his card. On a 5 or less, he ends his turn, rather. That's not going to happen. So that +7 is a 13. He is going to play a guns and discard 3 cards. Firing at me from neutral position. He played guns. I have a barrel roll, which lets me respond to guns. Does he respond? He has 3 cards in hand. Roll the die, add 3. On a 7, +3 is a 10. He responds to my barrel roll with a barrel roll. I'm holding 2 cards in my hand. One is a guns, which responds to nothing. The other is a scissors, which does not respond to barrel roll. So in effect, the Argentine Mirage has shot down the UK Harrier. That is that. The AI was successful. That could have gone either way there in the beginning, but I kind of felt like he had the edge on me the whole time, just from his big hand size. So that'll give you an idea of how to play against the AI. If you liked that, let me know. Maybe we can do a live play. But also, this is all being filmed on my iPad. So you could do the same thing using FaceTime with a buddy of yours. So you could see. You just need to maintain the same stats for each planes, which is easy. We all have the same tokens. We all have the same cards. So it's just like playing chess by mail. Somebody pointed out the other day on Facebook, and I thought that was a really good analogy. Again, let me know what you think. If you want to see some other examples or some other matchups, or have questions about the Solitaire rules, or if I got something wrong, by all means, feel free to point it out. And thanks for watching.